You feel it in your chest before you have words for it. That tightness, that fear, that quiet panic that rises in you when you think about saying, "This hurts me." You rehearse it in your head. You imagine the conversation. You imagine their face changing. You imagine the silence that might follow. And suddenly your heart starts racing as if you are about to jump off a cliff. All you are trying to do is protect your heart. So why does it feel like you are about to lose everything? This is the part no one talks about. Setting emotional boundaries in marriage feels terrifying. Not because you are dramatic. Not because you are difficult. Not because you are asking for too much. It feels scary because somewhere deep inside you, love got tied to survival. And when love feels threatened, your nervous system reacts like your life is in danger. You tell yourself, if I say something, they will pull away. If I speak up, I will cause a fight. If I set a boundary, they will think I don't love them. So you stay quiet. You swallow your feelings. You convince yourself it is not a big deal. You adjust. You shrink. You bend. Until one day you do not recognize yourself anymore. And here is the truth you may not want to hear. Every time you avoid setting a boundary, you abandon yourself a little more. That is why it feels heavy. That is why resentment starts to grow like mold in the corners of your heart. You were never meant to carry everything alone. But emotional boundaries feel dangerous because, for many of us, boundaries were never modeled as safe. Maybe when you were young, speaking up led to punishment. Maybe expressing sadness was called weakness. Maybe saying no made you selfish. Maybe you learned that peace was maintained by silence. So now, as an adult in your marriage, your body still reacts as if you are that child. You want to say, "Please don't talk to me that way." But your mind whispers, "Be careful." You want to say, "I need more affection." But your stomach knots up. You want to say, "That joke hurt." But you laugh along instead. You are not weak. You are conditioned. Emotional boundaries feel scary because they expose vulnerability. And vulnerability feels like standing in front of someone without armor. In marriage, you care deeply about this person. Their opinion matters. Their reaction matters. Their approval matters. So when you draw a boundary, it feels like you are risking connection. And connection is everything. You fear that if you say, "This is not okay," they will hear, "You are not okay." You fear they will feel criticized. You fear they will feel rejected. You fear you will create distance. But here is something powerful. Boundaries do not create distance. They reveal where distance already exists. Let that sit with you. When you say, "I need respect," and your spouse reacts with anger, that anger was not created by your boundary. It was exposed by it. When you say, "I need you to listen," and they withdraw, that withdrawal was not born in that moment. It was already there. Boundaries are truth tellers. And truth can feel like an earthquake. Because truth shakes what was unstable. Many couples confuse closeness with access. They think love means unlimited access to your time, your energy, your emotions, your body. But love without boundaries is not intimacy. It is enmeshment. And enmeshment slowly suffocates both of you. You begin to lose your sense of self. You stop asking what you feel. You start asking only what will keep the peace. You become hyper-aware of their mood. You adjust your tone to avoid triggering them. You tiptoe around topics. You filter your words. And you call it love. But deep inside, something feels off. Because real love allows two whole people to exist. Not one shrinking and one expanding. Two whole people. Two full identities. Two emotional worlds that meet, but do not consume each other. Setting emotional boundaries feels scary because it challenges the unspoken contract. The contract that says, "I will keep you comfortable so you will keep loving me." When you set a boundary, you are saying, "I am willing to risk your discomfort to protect my dignity." That is brave. But bravery does not feel calm in the moment. It feels shaky. Your voice might tremble. Your hands might sweat. Your heart might pound. And you might question yourself immediately after. Was I too harsh? Did I overreact? Should I have just let it go? This self-doubt is normal. Especially if you are used to over-functioning emotionally. If you are the peacemaker. If you are the fixer. If you are the one who absorbs tension so everyone else can relax. Setting a boundary means you stop absorbing everything. And when you stop absorbing, others feel the shift. They might resist. They might test. They might push. Not because they are evil. But because patterns feel safe, even unhealthy ones. Change disrupts familiarity. And familiarity can feel like love, even when it is not healthy. You have to understand something important. Fear does not mean you are wrong. Fear means you are stepping into growth. Every healthy marriage has boundaries. Not walls. Not punishments. Boundaries. A wall says, "You cannot come in." A boundary says, "Here is how to come close to me safely." There is a difference. A wall shuts down connection. A boundary protects it. When you say, Please don't yell at me. I am willing to talk, but not like this. You are not rejecting your spouse. You are protecting the quality of the conversation. When you say, I need time to process before we continue this discussion, you are not abandoning the issue. You are protecting your emotional regulation. When you say, I will not accept being insulted, you are not attacking. You are honoring your worth. And here is the deeper layer. Sometimes what makes boundaries terrifying is the possibility that the other person will not respond well. You fear what their reaction might reveal. What if they mock you? What if they dismiss you? What if they minimize your feelings? What if they refuse to respect your limit? That fear is real, because if they consistently refuse to honor your boundaries, you are forced to confront a painful question. Is this relationship as healthy as I thought? And sometimes we would rather endure discomfort than face that possibility. So we stay silent. But silence does not create safety. It creates distance. It creates hidden resentment. It creates emotional loneliness inside a shared home. You can sleep next to someone and still feel alone. You can share a life and still feel unseen. And often, that loneliness is not because you have no voice. It is because you are afraid to use it. Let me tell you something you need to hear. Your emotional needs are not burdens. Your limits are not punishments. Your boundaries are not threats. They are invitations. They invite your spouse to love you in a way that actually nourishes you. But they cannot accept an invitation they never receive. You might think, if they really loved me, they would just know. But love is not mind reading. Love is communication. Clear, honest, vulnerable communication. And vulnerability requires courage. Look at couples who model healthy boundaries. Couples who can say, that hurt me, without spiraling into war. Couples who can disagree without demeaning. Couples who can ask for space without threatening the relationship. Think of people like Brené Brown who speak openly about vulnerability and courage. She reminds us that vulnerability is not weakness. It is uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. And that is exactly what boundaries require. Emotional exposure. You expose your inner world and hope it is handled with care. And that hope can feel terrifying. But here is the shift you need to make. Instead of asking, what if they get upset? Ask, what happens to me if I never say this? What happens to your spirit? What happens to your self-respect? What happens to your joy? Slowly, over time, you start to harden. You become less affectionate, less playful, less open, not because you do not love them, but because unspoken pain builds invisible walls. Ironically, avoiding boundaries often creates the very distance you were trying to prevent. You think silence will keep the peace, but silence quietly erodes intimacy. True intimacy is built on truth, not perfection, not constant agreement. Truth. Truth said with respect. Truth delivered with care. Truth that says, I love you enough to be honest. When you set an emotional boundary, you are also giving your spouse clarity. Clarity about what matters to you. Clarity about what wounds you. Clarity about how to show up better. Without clarity, they are guessing. And guessing leads to misunderstanding. Understanding leads to connection, but only if you are brave enough to speak. There is another reason boundaries feel scary. You fear being labeled difficult, too sensitive, controlling, demanding. You have seen how people react when someone draws a line. Sometimes they get defensive. Sometimes they flip the script. Sometimes they say, you are overreacting. And that can trigger old wounds. It can make you question your reality. But listen carefully. Just because someone is uncomfortable does not mean you are unreasonable. Discomfort is not the same as harm. Your spouse might feel uncomfortable adjusting their behavior. But that discomfort is not the same as you harming them. Healthy love makes room for growth. And growth is rarely comfortable. When you choose to set boundaries, you are choosing long-term health over short-term comfort. You are choosing authenticity over approval. You are choosing mutual respect over silent resentment. And yes, that choice can feel lonely at first. Because you are breaking a pattern. But patterns do not break without friction. Think about the first time you learned to say no. Maybe it was small. Maybe it was something simple like declining an invitation when you were exhausted. You felt guilty. You felt selfish. But later, you felt relief. Relief because you honored your limit. That relief is a sign. A sign that you are learning to listen to yourself. Marriage does not erase your individuality. It deepens it, or at least it should. A healthy marriage is not two halves becoming one. It is two whole people choosing each other daily. And whole people have boundaries. You cannot merge souls without respecting edges. Edges are not rejection, they are definition. They define where you end and where your spouse begins. Without that definition, confusion grows. And confusion breeds conflict. So yes, setting emotional boundaries feels scary. Because you are stepping into your full self. You are saying, I matter too. You are trusting that love can withstand honesty. And if it cannot, that is information. Not failure. Information. Information that helps you see clearly. And clarity, even when painful, is a gift. Imagine a marriage where both of you can say what you feel without fear of punishment. Imagine a home where disagreement does not equal disaster. Imagine being able to say, "That hurt," and hearing, "I am sorry," instead of, "You are too sensitive." That kind of safety does not happen by accident. It is built, conversation by conversation, boundary by boundary, moment by moment, and it often starts with one person deciding to be brave. That person can be you. Your fear does not disqualify you. It qualifies you. It means you care deeply. It means this relationship matters to you. It means you want connection, not control. So the next time you feel that tightness in your chest, pause. Breathe. Remind yourself that you are not a child anymore. You are an adult with agency. You are allowed to say what you need. You are allowed to protect your heart. You are allowed to ask for respect. And if your voice shakes, let it shake. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in the presence of fear. When you set emotional boundaries in your marriage, you are not building a wall between you. You are building a bridge made of honesty. And that bridge might feel unstable at first. But over time, if both of you choose to walk across it, it becomes stronger. Trust grows. Respect deepens. Love matures. Because love that survives truth is stronger than love that survives silence. So do not let fear convince you that boundaries are betrayal. They are not betrayal. They are protection. Protection of your dignity. Protection of your mental health. Protection of the intimacy you truly want. You deserve a marriage where you do not have to disappear to keep the peace. You deserve a love that can handle your honesty. And the only way to find out if your marriage can rise to that level is to risk being seen. Fully. Honestly. Bravely. Yes, it is scary. Yes, your voice might tremble. Yes, there might be tension. But on the other side of that fear is something beautiful. A relationship where you are not walking on eggshells. A connection where you are not silently bleeding. A partnership where both of you are growing. So speak. Gently. Clearly. Respectfully. But speak. Because your silence costs more than your fear. And the marriage you are building deserves truth, not quiet survival. You are not wrong for wanting emotional safety. You are not selfish for setting limits. You are not dramatic for expressing pain. You are human, and real love does not ask you to shrink. It asks you to show up. Fully. And that begins the moment you decide that your voice matters too. This is how strong marriages are made. Not by avoiding hard conversations, but by facing them, together. And it starts with you.